Today's lesson is about conditional statements. You have done conditional statements for many years, primarily in science, but you've also done them in social studies and English and math too. You just haven't called them conditional statements. In science, you called it hypothesis and conclusion. In English, you've called it cause and effect, also in social studies. Using a computer in programming, it would be input and output. And in math and science, it's if, then. Or in social studies too. If, then. They all mean the same thing. Hypothesis, cause, and input all mean if something is true. Conclusion, effect, output, and then all mean the same thing, then. The symbol for each of these is if P, then Q. That's what this symbol, how this symbol is read. If P, then, that's what the arrow means, Q. On a Venn diagram, you have a circle inside of a circle. This would be read, if P, then Q. You always have to check and see if the statement is valid. Now, how do you do that? Well, you look and you think, is there anything, can I think of anything that would make this a false statement? That's what you're looking for. Any statement that would make it false. That is then called a counterexample. So a counterexample is an example that would make the hypothesis and its conclusion, or the if and the then, a false statement. There are four primary types of conditional statements. We talked about the first one, the conditional statement, which is read, if P, then Q. An example of that would be, if an insect is a butterfly, then it has 4 wings. The converse simply means you switch the P and the Q. The P becomes the Q takes the place of the P. And this would be read, if Q, then P. Now, what do you do with your statement? Well, you switch the if and the then. This if goes here, and this then gets moved up here. And then you read it, if it has 4 wings, then the insect is a butterfly. The next type of conditional statement is an inverse statement. It's the same thing as this, except it's got a tilde here, the squiggle. This squiggle means not. So this would be read, if not P, then not Q. Now what's an example of that? Well, if I go back here to my original statement, I would put a not here and a not on the then. And we would read it, if the insect is not a butterfly, then it does not have 4 wings. That's the inverse of the original. The contrapositive takes the inverse and flips the P's and the Q's again. It's still nots. So this would be read, if not Q, then not P. If I use this, I reverse this, so it would be read, if it does not have 4 wings, then the insect is not a butterfly. Please go to Edmodo and do your check for understanding for lesson 1.7.